Hi there and Happy New Year, so happy 2020. As you might know, this is my unscripted Q&A video session, which I always do at the beginning of the year. I think it is the second or third time I'm doing this right now. So if you're not familiar with it, it's just me answering a bunch of questions which I found on Patreon, Twitter and Facebook. It is unscripted, so you will hear me saying a lot of and thinking about what I want to say. If that's not your cup of tea, maybe you should skip this video and watch the next one. But I hope those who are interested in my video production and want to know what's coming up in 2020, this will be hopefully interesting. So the structure of this video: first off, I will be talking about my top 3 video productions of 2019. So what were my favorites which I made during the last year. Then I will talk about the top 3 videos voted by viewers. I actually asked that on Patreon, but we will get to that in a minute. And afterwards I will answer questions which I found on Patreon, Twitter and Facebook. I will answer as many as possible, but there were so many, I cannot answer them all. Okay, with that being said, you should know what is coming up. Also, please ignore the noise that is coming from outside. I can't do much about that, but nevertheless, I hope you will enjoy this hopefully small video, not an hour again. I will see. So let's get started with my picks for the top 3 videos of 2019. I made a little list here, I thought about the topic a bit, and here are my top 3 videos. So, in my opinion, the number 3 video of 2019 is Make Your Own Retro Nixie Clock with an RTC. This is a project I recently did. I think it was the last video of 2019, which was a big project. Afterwards I got this small model railway thing, which was just a bit of tinkering around. But this RTC clock, this Nixie clock, really was a big project. I worked on it for quite a long time. I think it took me about a month from beginning to finish. Not sure about the hours, but it was very complex, very interesting for me because I never worked with Nixie tubes before. But as you can see, it looks great. I love it. It got this retro vibe with the wood enclosure, 3D printed wood enclosure as well. And yeah, it combined a lot of things: 3D printing, PCB design, microcontrollers, everything I basically like about electronics, my favorite things about electronics, it combined. So I think this turned out to be an awesome project, and if you want to replicate it, all the info is underneath the video, in the video description. So if you're looking for a great project, I think this would be a good candidate. It's really fun to make and it looks awesome, but as always, be aware of the high voltage. It works with 170 volts DC. So you should be careful and always respect such a high voltage so that you do not harm yourself. Okay, so that was number 3, and number 2 from my side is Make Your Own Simple Yet Powerful Electric Motorized Longboard. This project is pretty much a remake from my first electric longboard builds, which I did 3 years ago, I think. And I really liked it. It was way easier to make than the original one. So I think pretty much anyone can do it if they have the spare money, because it wasn't the cheapest project. I think the hub motors were pretty expensive, then also the 2 FSECs, the battery. So it's not the cheapest project, but it works so well. I was really amazed and surprised how well this thing can transport you. The range was also good, the speed was good. So it really wasn't a very hard project. It was just sticking a couple of components together, but nevertheless it was very fun to do. and I highly recommend it if you're looking for an electric skateboard. Okay, so next is my number 1 video. So the best, not the best video I made in 2019. Well, it's hard to say. That there's so much that goes into this rating. Because for me it's not only, okay, I watched the video, it is interesting. For me it's the video production itself. How challenging was it? What went into making the video? How was the end result? What topics were covered? And so for me the number 1 video of 2019 was how to solve EMC problems, the mystery of the buzzing speaker. This topic, the EMC topic, electromagnetic compatibility, was kind of out of my comfort zone. I learned about EMC a bit during my studies in university, but it wasn't such a big subject. So when World Electronic came to me and said, hey, we would love to do an EMC video, because in the end EMC is very important, but just not for makers. It's a more complicated, complex subject, which is very important to engineers and pretty much everyone who makes products that come on the market. But for the hobby audience, which I have, for makers, it's not that important. So for me, I didn't have much of an idea how to make the video, how to get an interesting hook. So I talked with a couple of people from World Electronic, which very helped me finding a good topic with the buzzing speaker. And then we worked our way through the video. I actually visited them at their headquarters. It was a long drive, but it was definitely worth it. We had a lot of fun in the EMC cabinets. There were some very interesting conversations there. And overall, I think the video turned out great. It was a great overview of how EMC is important for projects, for products, and the electric grid. And I think it's a great base for everyone who wants to learn about the subject, but not go too deep where it gets super complicated, because it is super complicated. So yeah, that was my top number 1 video of 2019. And with that being said, we're going to the viewers rating, the top 3 videos voted by viewers. I asked that on Patreon because I actually thought if I make the post public, then everyone like on Twitter and Facebook can vote as well. But I actually learned later that that is not the case. You have to log in on Patreon to vote, and so there weren't that many votes, sadly, but we still got 3 winners. Actually, it's just 2 winners, because the spot 3 and 2 are shared pretty much. There were, I think, the exact amount of people who voted for it. And yeah, so let's just say the number 3 video was BMS Battery Management System, DIY or buy, properly protecting lithium-ion LiPo battery packs. And the number 2 was Make Your Own Powerwall Big LiFi PO4 battery pack. So as you can see, the 2 topics which were very popular were battery related. The first one with the BMS, I think it's been quite a while. It was an interesting project. The BMS is always like, I think, a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. And so I reverse engineered a commercial BMS circuit, showed what function each component fulfills. I think that it was quite interesting, because for many people it's just a mystery, like I hook up a BMS and then it protects it, but how does it do it? So I talked a bit about that, and then I talked about this DIY BMS project, which has been on the internet for quite a while. It's an open source project, and it was really fun with the ESP. I think I did it with the online monitoring, how the voltage levels of each cell look like, and then there was also a big power resistor, so you can actually discharge the battery, so you can level the individual cells. You can get them to the same voltage level. So I think very interesting project. I will see, maybe some people ask, hey, is there a way you can do another BMS video, not with the open source, not the online monitoring, but only with the essential protection features. So maybe I can do that as a subject for another video, but we will see. And the other video was with the Powerwall, which when I started making the video, I actually expected it to be popular because the Powerwall term is interesting for viewers, and I think it's a great alternative to lead-acid batteries, such LabVIEW PO4 batteries, and I got the opportunity with that to talk about this battery type. I actually got more LabVIEW PO4 batteries laying around. I showed that during the CAN bus video, and actually at the end of the electric Longboard video remake, where I got those big cylinder batteries, which are also LabVIEW PO4. So I will see what I can do with them. I was actually thinking of putting those big LabVIEW PO4 cells in a backpack and then using it to power the Longboard and see how long I can go with it. How many kilometers I can do with such a big battery pack. That would be a fun idea, but yeah, I can see that battery videos are still very important and interesting for viewers, so I will see what I can do with the subject in 2020. And the #1 video of 2019 voted by viewers is, and I actually knew that right from the beginning, that this would be the most popular video in 2019. Here is why USB Type-C is awesome and how you can use power delivery for your electronics. Yeah, it was an interesting subject for me to work on. I actually got into the subject because World Electronic sent me a USB Type-C development kit, and I just tried it out, figured out how the power delivery protocol worked, and then I realized, due to my Nintendo Switch and my new phone, which got USB Type-C, what USB Type-C can all do. It got me really interested in it, and I immediately thought of making a video about it. So I just gathered a couple of information and found out that there's enough to make a video, and that's pretty much it. It was very easy to produce actually. It's didn't take a lot of time, but the subject is just interesting. It's right now it is yeah, how do you say it? It's aktuell is the German word. It's aktuell. It's a current subject. With all the technology that is showing up with the USB Type-C ports. So I kind of expected that viewers would love to learn about this technology. So those were my top picks of 2019 and the viewer picks of 2019. And with that out of the way, we can now continue with the question session. So let's start with Patreon. So I will try to answer all the questions. I'm not sure though, because this time I also asked on Twitter and Facebook for questions to have a bit of diversity, so that not all questions come from Patreon supporters. But we will see, we will find interesting questions, and yeah. So let's start from the top with the final degree, who asked, what was your favorite moment of 2019? Which video was the most fun to work on in 2019? My favorite moment, I think I already said that in my top 3 videos from my own perspective, was the EMC video, and the favorite moment I think was just getting to World Electronic, working with them, seeing the EMC lab, seeing all their facility and just working with them in the lab. That was a lot of fun. And also, like I said, the most fun video to work on was the EMC video as well. Even though it took forever to make, I think I worked on that video for half a year. But still, it was the most fun. Okay, next question from Bas Dishkstra. Sorry if I said that incorrectly. Hello, Mr. GreatScott. I was wondering, have you ever been recognized in public by a viewer, or don't you have as many German fans as international ones? Love the videos. So first off, I don't often show my face. In the past I never showed my face, now I do it more often. I think in December or November I showed my face every second or third video because I was trying out a couple of new things. Maybe that will continue. But on the street in Germany I've never been recognized, which is not a shame. I'm not unhappy about it. I love my privacy in the end. But I was visiting the Maker Faire 2019 in Berlin, last year, 2019. And there I talked with Bitlooney and a couple of other electronics YouTubers. And there were actually, I think, 2 people who recognized me, who I gave an autograph, not sure how you call that in English right now. And there was also another few people who did a soldering task there. They also recognized me. We had a little chat. So if you see me on the streets, you can certainly say that you watch my videos. I would be very happy to hear that. We can also take a picture or whatever, have a little chat. I'm not mad about that, but up until this point right now, I haven't been recognized that often. Okay, next question from Electronoobs. First, thank you for your awesome content. You're welcome. From my own experience, I know this next question could be difficult to answer. What is the thing you like most working as a YouTuber and which one you dislike? I'm pretty sure not everything is perfect as a YouTuber. Thanks again and happy holidays. Frohes neues Jahr. Frohes neues Jahr auch an dich, Electronoobs. Ja, gute Frage. Sorry, now I'm stuck in German. Good question. From my experience, the thing I like most working as a YouTuber is being your own boss. I can work on whatever I like. I can do nothing if I want to, which I don't usually do. I love working. I love video making. And I think that's the best part. I don't have a boss. I can do whatever I want whenever I feel like it. And the worst thing as a YouTuber, in my opinion, because I work alone, I don't have an assistant or anything like that, is pretty much, I'm always stuck pretty much in this room, and it's not that often, well, doing work at least, that I get out. I have some garage projects. I also did some other projects outdoors, but for the most time I'm stuck here without any co-workers. So it's not as fun as it used to be when I worked for a company where I got lots of co-workers. I could talk with them, have fun with them. Here you're just pretty isolated. I think that is the hardest part of being a YouTuber. But then again, I also got free time where I meet friends and go to the gym and all that stuff. So that's fine. But for the work area, it can get a bit isolated, I would say. That's the hardest thing. Okay, next question from Benjamin. Have you ever worked with LabVIEW in combination with a Raspberry Pi? What are your thoughts about the system? I never worked with LabVIEW. I think a friend of mine worked with it during his master's degree, but it wasn't with the Raspberry Pi. And so I cannot say much about it, but I think he was not happy with it, I would say. But I could be wrong. I actually got no idea. Sorry. Okay, next question from X99. Hi, and before anything else, thank you for the time and effort you spent on sharing your knowledge. You're welcome. I have 2 questions. How are your studies going? Are you a full-time YouTuber now? Is there a tool you love in particular, one you couldn't live without? So how are your studies going? I actually finished my master degree, I think in April of 2018. So this is now my second year of full-time YouTubing, being a full-time YouTuber, which I actually am for 2 years now. Like I said before, it's going good, great, I would say. For me, I still have fun making videos. There are still lots of topics I want to talk about, and yeah, it's great. Is there a tool you love in particular, one you couldn't live without? With tool, I think you mean for electronics, and for that I would say it's my multimeter. It's hanging right behind me, the MetroHit Pro or the MetroHit Energy, which is awesome when it comes to measuring power draws from the power grid or just some self-made circuits with DC power. I think those are the two tools which I very often use, and I think electronics wouldn't be possible without a proper multimeter. Next question from Dimitri G. What's the best way to make a programmable current sink with Arduino? I mean, one, I can pre-program a variable current load pattern in time to see if my batteries have enough capacity. Oh boy, that is something I would do as a project, but I cannot give you a good answer right now in a Q&A video. Pre-program a variable current load pattern. Yeah, I think a constant load would be suitable, not the ones you get from China. I have one as well, a very cheap one, but you can look, I think, on the Keysight site. They have a few programmable loads where you can certainly program a current pattern, but other than that, I think I cannot give you a good answer to this right now. Next question from Adrian Rafflings. Happy New Year, and I wish you all a prosperous and creative 2020. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you as well. Next question from Danielle Courtesy. What does your typical day looks like? Buen anno. Buen anno to you as well. I think that means Happy New Year. My typical day, I pretty much always wake up at 8 a.m. Then I get ready, breakfast, and I start working at 9 a.m. Like, I do the usual stuff. I think I talked about my how to make my videos in previous Q&A videos. So maybe I do some research, write scripts, record the video, do voiceover, edits, all that stuff. I do that from like 9 to 12. Then I have a little break, and then I work from 12 to 18. Then I usually do some activities. I go to the gym, go outside, have a little fun, something like that. And sometimes I then continue working. It's for a freelancer like me, it's always, you have to see what you got on your plate when it comes to work, and then you have to do that when you got the time. Sometimes I end my day at 18, but it always differs. So I cannot give you a typical day, but there are some important times like 9 to 12 and then 13 to 18 where I usually do most of the work, and everything besides that is just, it's up to me. So that's my typical day. So the last Patreon question from Paulo dos Santos. Thank you for the awesome content. I was wondering what was the first special moment that triggered your interest in electronics. Best regards. So I think the special moment that really got me into electronics was when I was already learning the job as an electrician, as an Elektroniker für Betriebstechnik, how it's called in German. And it was the moment I saw the LED cubes on the internet, and I was just wondering how exactly can you control, let's say, an 8x8x8 LED cube with software. How can you make custom patterns? How can you control each LED individually? That really got me started with electronics, figuring out how that works, and then it just opened up the electronic subject for me, and then I learned more about each individual subject that was involved with the LED cube. And up until this point, I think that didn't stop, because when you learn something about one topic, then suddenly there are 5 more topics which you can learn about, which are also involved with electronics. So it's a never-ending story in the end. But yeah, those LED cubes were the starting point for me. Okay, those were the Patreon questions. Now let's continue with Twitter. Okay, for Twitter we got 63 comments. I think I will look through some of them and then I will pick 3 interesting ones. Okay? Okay, Mark Facebookberg. Very clever. Until now, what's your most expensive video / project to make? I think the most expensive project to make was probably the Powerwall video, I think, because I think the battery pack was $500. Then I also had to get the BMS and all the extra stuff that goes with it, all the wires, then the enclosure, then the new wiring, new pipes, screws, all of that. So I think that came out to, like, I'm not sure, $600 to $700. So that was the most expensive video project to make. No, it was more expensive. 800? I'm not sure. I'm not sure right now, but I think that was the most expensive one. Okay, that is a good one from Aurelian Lowen. Have you ever considered getting hired at an electronics / semiconductors company? Do you see yourself working in a company or at a contractor for a company? Good question. I said before that being a YouTuber, one of the best things is being your own boss, deciding when you want to work, how long, all that stuff. So working for a company would be, of course, different. I would have to follow the time when I have to be there, and I would have to do the work I have to do, all that stuff. So working for a company, I wouldn't mind. I thought about quitting this YouTube stuff maybe once or twice, and going to a company wouldn't be such a bad decision, because in the end you learn a lot of other stuff there about electronics, and there are also interesting topics to work on. But for me personally, if I ever quit YouTube, I think going to an electronics company is not the first thing I would love to do. I think I would still love to teach. That is probably why I've been doing this so long. I just love teaching electronics. And I think maybe I would just start as a teacher for, I'm not sure how to say it in English. In German it's for Techniker. It's like in between the normal jobs like an electrician and the bachelor. So it's in between there. They need a mixture of theory and practical things. I think that would be very interesting to teach. Or maybe I do my PhD, my doctor's degree with the university, and then start teaching. I think both of those things sound like I would love to do it. But right now I'm still doing this YouTube thing. It works out great. It's not always easy, but which job is always easy? So yeah, that's my answer for that. Okay, next question from Rubicon. How is your motorcycle doing? Looking forward to see more videos of you modifying the motorcycle. Recently I had a lot of luck because someone actually broke into my garage, and they wanted to steal, it's not a motorcycle, it's a moped, but that doesn't matter right now. And they actually tried to steal my motorcycle. It was already pulled out of the garage like halfway, but they left it there. I think my security system, which I showed you how to make in a previous video, scared them off because there was a siren, there was the stroboscope light. So I think they tried getting it out, realized, okay, there's a lock for that. There's a lot of sound, we cannot be here anymore, we have to go. And right now I'm fixing the problem. There will be a bigger lock in front of the garage. But I was very lucky that it is still there. My motorcycle got not stolen, thankfully. And yes, I will see what I can do. Maybe a new GPS tracking system, something like that would be interesting, because when I actually talked to the police about how useful such a GPS tracking thingy is, they said it is very helpful because they can follow the signal and they're actually allowed to enter a property if the GPS signal is received from there. So maybe for the future I will do an updated version of such a project. Okay, 3 Twitter questions are not enough for me. I think I said I will do 3 in the beginning. So here is a 4th bonus one from Orijits Haldar. Do you have future plans of making your own business or any big projects in mind? If yes, will that involve IoT and or renewable energy sources? Making my own business, that is something I will probably not do. I love this freelancer lifestyle. Any big projects in mind? Not quite. I'm actually working together with a company right now to create a little project that you can order, you can solder yourself or get completely pre-made. It's a small handy circuit. It will come out when it is done. And I'm also working with the same company on a IoT thingy, I would say, which will also be very interesting. But I don't want to say too much. I don't want to go into much detail here because I don't want to spoil anything. So no company, but I will do some projects, some things you can commercially get, and that will be very interesting. Okay, and with that being said, those were the Twitter questions. So let's continue with Facebook. So with Facebook, we got 90 comments. Once again, I will choose 3 of them. And if I find another interesting one, there will be a bonus question. Okay, I got one from Ejnar Vibe Jewel. Didn't you say in a video that you was making a drone? How far are you with that? The drone video is also a never-ending story. It's sitting right there. I made progress on it, then something didn't work once again, then I made some more progress. It will come out when it is done, if it is ever finished. So do me a favor, don't ask about it all the time. I know it was a mistake to talk about projects and then never finishing them. But yeah, it's just, I try my best, but I'm just not having luck with drones, I think. Okay, next question from Aymane Baduri. Is it possible to make an oscilloscope based on Arduino? And if it is, could you make a video about it? It certainly is possible, but then again, I think the Arduino speed is not fast enough to make it a very useful oscilloscope, because you're always limited with the bandwidth. And I would have to look into the subject to see how much, in which way the Arduino could be used as an oscilloscope, but I think it is not the best choice. But what I actually recently saw was the new Teensy, which had a very fast core speed. And I was actually thinking about using such a high-speed microcontroller to create an oscilloscope. So maybe I will get to that idea in 2020, and maybe there will be a DIY oscilloscope with the new Teensy. But once again, I will have to look into that and see how manageable to do that is. Okay, here's a good one from Florin Bakiu. If your channel would be deleted, would you start again? Very good question. Back when I started in 2013, Making videos was just a side project of mine. I never intended to make it into a career or where it is right now. So it's a difficult question. I think if my channel would be deleted, I would still have the urge to make videos because, like I said before, I enjoy doing it. But right now it is not just a hobby anymore, it is my full-time job. So if I would have to start over again, I wouldn't have a lot of subscribers, not lots of views. And of course the financial outcome would be bad as well. And I don't know if that would be, if I would be financially stable then. So I'm not sure whether I would have to start another full-time job. And then of course it would be difficult for my video production right now, because at the moment I put way more hours into making videos than I did at the beginning. So I'm not sure. I would definitely try to start over again. But I'm not sure how long that would work out just from the financial side of view. Last bonus question from Yuan Yu. You mentioned that you will make some videos about the old books you got. You even made a video about creating a camera rig for better filming the books. Correct? How are these videos going right now? Are they less interesting than the regular projects you're doing? Maybe you can talk about the book and then make something or do something using the knowledge from the books. The quality of your videos is awesome. Happy New Year, GreatScott. Happy New Year to you as well. That is a very good question. So it is kind of like the drone video. I actually started finding topics in the books which were interesting, which I could compare to modern equivalents. But as I was getting more into, okay, how do I make this video? How can I make it, put more information in it? I started to realize that it might not be the best topics for videos. So that is when I lost a bit of interest, and then other big projects came around. So right now it is still on my to-do list. It is not the highest priority because I think the videos wouldn't be as good as I would love them to be. So I will see when I get to it. Maybe some videos will come out about the books this year. No promises whatsoever, like always. It's with the drone, no promises. I'm working on it on and off. And I will see what I can do. Yeah, that's all about that. Sometimes what you think would be a good idea turns out to be not such a good idea, but I think that's always something that can come up with creative processes. And with that being said, the question session is over. At the end, I would love to say that I hope you're looking forward to my videos in 2020. I will give it my best, like always. I will continue the video schedule which I started in 2019. So there will be 3 videos in 3 weeks, then 1 week break, and then repeat that, rinse and repeat. I hope you're looking forward to the videos. The first one will come out on January the 16th, I think. So next week on Sunday there will not be a video, but I'm already preparing, working on 5 different subjects, projects, videos, however you want to call it. And they will be interesting. I think there's still lots of topics to discover when it comes to electronics, and I will try to cover them all. So look forward to that. And with that being said, like always, stay creative, and I will see you next time.